enter your full name in the post-webinar survey. You can basically find that once we end the session, which is of 60 minutes of duration. So you'll get a Zoom pop-up where you can fill down the post-webinar survey with your full name, which you would like to see in the certificate of the webinar. So I see a lot of new folks are joining in. So we're just getting started, folks. Welcome, everyone. A very good morning to folks who have joined us. Sure. So let's talk about the agenda of today's session. So we will be getting to know a little bit about you, will be how we can help you out better in your cloud computing career. And we'll be talking about cloud computing careers in 2024 and also taking you through the program introduction for UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp, and also through the enrollment steps of the program. And also there is a special duration for the Q&A part of the program as well. So we will try to take as many questions as possible when we get the time during the session. But in case we are not able to answer all of your queries immediately, so please don't worry, just have a little patience and we'll answer it towards the end. So thank you so much and welcome once again, everyone. You can introduce yourself on the chat here, folks who have just joined right now. We are just getting started. And before we move on, we would love to know a little bit more about you, as I mentioned earlier. So you can see a quick poll launched on your screen, which says, how many years of experience do you currently have? So now when I talk about experience here, I am talking about work experience here. So you can let us know through the 4 quick options which you see on your screen. Also, I see folks who basically are saying that they have 0 experience as well. It's totally okay. You can select the option 0 to 3x. Sure, I see most of the folks have already shared responses for the poll here, but I think I'll just give 10 seconds more for the poll for a few of the folks who are still basically sharing their responses for the poll. Okay, I think I'll just give 5 seconds more for the poll. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing your responses for this poll. And also, I'll just quickly share the results with you as well. Let's see what set of experiences folks have joined us. So as we can see that 39% of the folks who have joined us are currently studying, and 28% of the folks who have joined us have 3 to 5 years of experience. And 17% of the folks who have joined us have 0 to 3 years of experience. And again, like 17% of the folks who have joined us more than 5 years of experience. So that's great. It's interesting to see a diverse crowd here with a different set of experiences. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now moving on, would like to introduce you that this program is powered by Simplilearn, world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the digital space for almost 13 years, and we are very proud of transforming lives by empowering people via digital skills. We have advanced over 5 lakh plus career with over 800 plus qualified trainers, and also we have categories of courses comprising from AI, machine learning, data science, cloud computing, which we are going to cover today, DevOps, full stack, product management, and many more like that. So as we move on, I would like to welcome our speaker, Andy Lewis, today. Andy, a good morning to you. And first of all, would like to thank you for basically joining as a speaker for this webinar today. There is an interesting program preview lined up of UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp. Would love to know your introduction for the crowd here.
Yes, so welcome everybody to this webinar. I am, as you can see here, a little bit younger in this picture, a few years back. So I've been doing some cloud architecting since about the 2017 time, and I am a developer at heart. I started my career in development in 1999, and basically eventually, graduated to the cloud and having to bring in all my knowledge and my experience into the cloud. So I do a lot of consulting and development for various clients. And so I find myself in the classroom and on-prem, so to speak, at customer sites. So I like that synergistic effect, and I think that comes across in the classroom as well, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work in an actual environment, and bringing that back in. I think what's great about this course in general is the fact that we're looking at multi-cloud, right? We're looking at Azure, we're looking at AWS, and multi-cloud has become really a big topic as of late. And I think there's a lot of benefits to going multi-cloud in the job industry. Just exponentially gives you a better chance of finding employment. And so I'm eager to talk to you more about the details of this course as we kind of progress through the slide deck here.
Thank you so much, Andy, for your introduction. And yes, let's move on with the slides here. Let's start with talking about careers in cloud computing in 2024. As we're talking about careers, how can we miss talking about skills here, right? So what exactly are the hottest skills in cloud computing space in 2024, and how exactly they'll be in demand, Andy?
So right now, I mean, even in the cloud, things are kind of changing really fast. I think everybody's kind of been hearing a lot about machine learning and AI, especially since Chat GPT came out really this year to the mass public. And so, this has really changed the way we can leverage the cloud because of its elasticity, the fact that we can just go and grab as much resources as we're willing to pay for without having to set it up and configure it, and how we can really get these platforms up and running and configured for us, so we can just concentrate on what we want to do, maybe train a machine learning algorithm or an AI model, those kind of things. So I think the hottest skill right now, as of today, is really in that machine learning or AI space. But even to get there, I mean, there is there's stepping stones. You can't just run right to that, right? So you're going to have to know what are the cloud providers, what they offer one over another. There's a lot of similarities between the cloud providers, right? They kind of it's like having car companies, right? Everybody can sell a car. What's different from one car manufacturer to the next? It's going to be kind of the same thing here. And we have here database management, we have storage services. All cloud providers offer that. So this class really hones in on how does AWS do it different, let's say, than Azure? What are the good things that, let's say, Azure does over and above AWS, or vice versa, right? So you'll find yourself maybe liking different services from different cloud providers and deciding on a multi-cloud environment for that. So of course, elasticity, auto scaling, all these kind of buzzwords, serverless, these are all things that we're going to learn in the course, or the courses. There's many courses in this learning path here. But I would really think that, right now, getting to know, what storage is, what networking is, what compute is, what managed services is, what's serverless, all these kind of things first before going into, like I said, those areas where are just massively in demand right now, like machine learning and AI.
Thank you so much for taking us through this skills in the cloud computing space, which will demand in 2024. Now that we have talked about the skills, let's talk about the trending cloud computing career paths in 2024 as well, Annie.
So I would say if you're going to get into the cloud, you first should get a view of the forest, so to speak. How are things laid out? Because eventually you're just going to be most likely interested if you're a developer in a handful of services, right? And so if you don't really have that foundation before you get into the developer services, or how do we build a continuous integration, continuous development pipeline, those kind of things, you're going to be confused. And so I would recommend really getting into the architecting first. The architecting is going to put you on solid ground, show you all the services, what are the best practices, how do we build fault tolerant, resilient, scalable architectures. And then on top of that, then you can lay down whatever job role you're really interested in doing. So are you going to work with DevOps? Are you just going to be a developer? So you can see here we have certifications like Cloud DevOps Engineer. There's some new certifications that just came out now for data engineering. Data engineering is really big as well. I mentioned before machine learning, right? So all of these specialities or job function roles really layer on top of the architect stuff. So what's great about this course is we're going to be learning a lot about architecture in regards to AWS and Azure. So after it'll become much easier to reason and understand what's going on when you want to work, let's say, with security, or when you want to work with, let's say, some function as a service in the cloud. So this is how I see kind of the career path in 2024 is pick something that'll give you a solid ground and then go take a look at what interests you more, right? Or is in line with your job role. But I think architecture is really that stepping stone.
Definitely agree with that. Also, folks, just to let you know that we are also live on YouTube. So a lot of folks have joined us there as well. So folks who are replying on the YouTube live chat box, do let us know if you have any questions. We'll be taking questions from there as well today. Also, as we have talked about the skills and the career paths in 2024 in cloud computing, let's talk about what's changing in the cloud computing space for 2024. What's exciting, coming ahead as well.
Well, I think it's still early to be too excited about quantum computing, but it's definitely moving fast. So if anybody really wants to make a paradigm shift in the traditional programming out there and go to quantum computing, of course, you don't expect to have a quantum computer in your on-prem data center. So quantum computing is really going to be exclusive to the cloud, right? Because it just costs an immense amount of money to have a quantum computer and to maintain that in a specific environment that's completely controlled in terms of temperature. So if you want to do quantum computing, this is already available in the cloud and all the cloud providers. So that's something that is really the forefront right now. You have the AI stuff and you have the quantum computing stuff that are kind of apart, but I see that quantum computer is or quantum computing, excuse me, is really something that will reap many benefits if you already start getting into that right now. Serverless. Serverless is something that a lot of companies have already been experimenting with for several years. It kind of goes hand in hand with microservices. So if you've heard of this architectural style called microservices, you're probably going to be implementing that in a serverless architecture. So serverless is a funny word because it makes you think there's no machines, right? There's no servers, but it's actually a marketing term, which means the cloud provider is going to actually manage completely that machine for you. You won't even have access to it. So from your point of view, there are no servers. It's serverless. And so you just concentrate on what brings business value to your company, which is maybe you developing the application, right? So serverless is a big thing. You'll hear things like Azure Functions or AWS Lambda, DynamoDB, all these kind of technologies that are marketed as serverless. So if you're a developer, in today's age, a lot of serverless architectures with microservices are highly in demand. So this kind of branches out to DevOps as well. So very, very big business here. Edge computing is also growing very rapidly. It's basically expanding beyond the cloud provider's original network, going closer to densely populated areas. So let's say city centers, right? So that we can get much better latency and of course performance with that. So edge computing is something that has been growing and that you can definitely get into. Security is always going to be important, right? And the cloud, we have what's called a shared security responsibility model. You're never, off the hook with security. You always have something to do with security, but you're still going to want to maybe secure your applications at the edge, make sure there's no data exfiltration, nobody gets access to your data. So security is always going to be an important aspect here. So if you want to be a security specialist, that's a very, very good career and a secure career in the cloud. That's about what I have to say for this slide.
Thank you so much, Andy, for taking us through the what's changing in cloud computing space for 2024. now. We have talked about the skills, we have talked about what career paths basically will be trending in 2024 in cloud computing. We have also talked about what's changing in cloud computing space, what changes are ahead, and what changes are basically in the future as well taking place. So we would love to know what exactly is stopping you from becoming a
I think we lost you there, Rasha. Are you there? Well, I think
yes,
we
yes,
lost.
yes,
Oh, you're
yes.
there? Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought we lost you for a second.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I was talking about what exactly is stopping you from becoming a cloud computing expert here. So we have talked about the skills, we have talked about the career paths here, which will be trending in 2024. We have talked about what exactly is changing in cloud computing space in 2024. So what exactly is stopping you from becoming a cloud computing expert or aspiring a career towards cloud computing here? So I will quickly just launch a poll here, which basically says what exactly is stopping you from becoming a cloud computing expert. And you can see 4 quick options there. This is a multiple choice question poll, so you can select multiple options because there can be multiple concerns or challenges you must be facing in terms of aspiring a career towards cloud computing, right? So you can choose the options from there and basically submit it. And in case this does not cover your basically challenge you're facing or concern, you can let us know in the Q&A box or in the chat box as well. And also, folks, as you are basically sharing response for this poll, this is a really good time to put down your questions in the Q&A box. In case you have any questions for us, you can let us know in the Q&A box and we will be answering your questions uh, maybe if we get time during the session, or else we have a special duration for the Q&A part towards the end. So stay tuned till then. And a lot of folks who have joined basically are interested for aspiring towards a career in cloud computing and are also curious about this program as well by UT Dallas. So in case you have any questions about the program in general, please do let us know. We will try to address all of your queries as much as possible. So I think I can see most of the folks have shared responses for this poll here. So let me just quickly end this poll. I'll give last 5 seconds for the folks who are still sharing their responses here. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll and also share the results with you folks. So as we can see that 44% of the folks have shared that I can't find a program with a fully comprehensive curriculum. And again, another 44% of the folks have shared that my work schedule won't allow me enough time for learning. 33% of the folks have shared that I find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos, and 28% of the folks have shared that I wouldn't get the practical exposure I need to become job ready. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now let us quickly take you through the UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp here. So the UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp comes with a comprehensive and industry aligned learning path. You get access to integrated labs and projects for hands-on experience, and also the online virtual classrooms with live instructor interaction, not just pre-recorded videos, but also interaction between the instructor and the peer as well, which makes it very interesting. And also the program duration for the UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp is of 8 months of duration. So you can just complete it by giving approximately 10 to 15 hours per week, which basically makes it very flexible to fit your schedule in case you are a working professional as well. So as we move on, let's talk about the UT Dallas advantage here. So the University of Texas at Dallas, the UT Dallas University, is a renowned institution with a rich history of academic excellence. And it's basically home to distinguished faculty members and researchers, fostering an environment of innovation and learning. And it has been consistently recognized as top tier research universities, providing students with access to cutting edge knowledge and resources. And having a UT Dallas university on your CV basically is very highly respected and acknowledged worldwide. So now let's talk about the eligibility and prerequisites here. So you may be from a non-programming background and also a high school diploma or equivalent and at least 18 years of age, and no work experience is required for joining this program. So I think if you have any questions about the program, please do let us know. This is a really good time to put down your questions in the Q&A box. But as we move on, let's talk about how this program builds your skills step by step. So Andy, can you take us through these steps here?
Sure. Yeah. So what we do at the beginning, of course, is like I mentioned before, is we give you a wide scope view of the forest, so to speak. What are those services? How do they break up in certain categories? Now we have what's called a learning management system, an LMS, where this is all organized. And the first session you see here at the bottom is really just I think 1 or 2 hours introduction to that system online, and makes you go through all the options and makes you, how to go through the recorded videos, how to get access to past classes that have been pre-recorded, the live training, your projects, your lab environments, etc. Once that's done and you feel comfortable with the user interface, we do our first class together, and maybe you'll have me in your class as your instructor for the AWS Cloud Fundamentals, where I kind of give you anything from, what is the cloud? Why do we want to use the cloud? Why is it beneficial? What are the pros of using the cloud? So we start off with that, and all the way to the end of that class. That's a couple of weekends, that class, or a couple of days if it's during the week. I'll let Rasha talk about the timeline of the class. Well, you'll get to the point where you'll be familiar with the majority of the services in some key categories, right? Now, don't forget, AWS has over 200 services. Okay, so of course we're not going to go over 200 services because nobody knows all the services. They're always evolving, but we're going to go through the most important ones, the ones that everybody uses. Okay, then we're going to take it up a notch for designing applications and architecture. So here's where we start delving down into specific services that you'll find yourself using on a daily basis, whether they're virtual machines or whether those services that fall under the category of serverless. And we look at all the best practices, the best design principles, the architectures. We kind of see how we fit them all together. And of course, during that, you're going to have exercises to do, you're going to have labs, and also every course has a project that you have to do. Okay, so you have a choice of 3 projects after every one of these steps, and also basically some exam that you have to do that you have to get over 70% on. All right. So we're going to do the same thing after for the Azure stuff. Okay. So there's another cloud provider from Microsoft. Now, the nice thing is, once you finish these 2 AWS courses, you're not going to be starting off all over again when you go to Azure. You're going to find yourself relearning the same concepts, but implemented sometimes differently, sometimes not. So there's a good 30-40% of baggage that you could bring with yourself to another cloud provider after. So that gives you a good momentum. Okay. All the way up to going back to AWS at the end, DevOps. I don't know if you guys are familiar with or go and look at jobs a lot, but if you do, you'll notice that the word DevOps is showing up all over the place the last couple of years, right? And so we've added this new course onto the curriculum, the DevOps on AWS, to really give you even a better chance afterwards to get a job as a DevOps engineer. So the DevOps kind of puts it all together, makes you create CI, CD pipelines. We call that continuous integration, continuous development pipelines, and kind of put something in place at a company that you'll be working at or maintaining that, and really making sure that, again, maybe a microservices architecture is being redeployed on a daily basis, and therefore you're supporting that by building, maintaining, observing this DevOps pipeline there. Now, after all of this, you get to put your skills to the test by building what's called a capstone project. Okay, so these are big projects which kind of incorporate everything you've learned, and also they will look at, prove to us that you can build a multi-cloud environment over here. So since we're looking at AWS and Azure, the projects will be in line with those 2 cloud providers. So lots and lots of knowledge to be gained by going up this ladder over here.
Thank you so much, Andy, for taking us through the steps here, how this program basically builds your step step by step. So, and also let's talk about the electives here. As you can see, the Caltech, basically, I'm so sorry, like the Cloud Computing Bootcamp masterclasses and the project and office hours is something you'll be getting from the UT and also the tools and platforms you'll be covering in this course here. As you can see, so many tools and platforms and many more. Maybe Andy, you can take us through a few of the tools and platforms for someone who's completely coming from a non-cloud computing background.
Sure. So I actually see Anand here asked a question on the chat. Would you also be covering the deployment on EC2 and Elastic Beanstalk for apps migrating to AWS? So this kind of goes in a little bit in line with this slide because I can see here Amazon EC2 up on the top left. So for someone that doesn't really know anything about the cloud, which is really fine for this course because we take you by the hand, is that EC2 is just a fancy acronym for virtual machine. Okay. So a virtual machine that you're used to working on-prem, which is basically, think of that as just a server that's been virtualized. That's how we create virtual machines in the cloud for AWS. We use an EC2 instance. And of course, we have the same thing, compute service on Azure as well. We have databases like NoSQL databases. If you ever worked with a NoSQL database, then you'll find yourself right at home with DynamoDB over here on the left. So these are document databases or key value store databases that we have here. This is actually a serverless database over here. So you just create a table and manage your schema with your queries, and everything else is managed for you. Okay. Now, for those who have some programming experience, right? Not necessary, but if you've ever written a function, right? You've had to run that function somewhere on some computer, right? Now, what happens if that computer goes down? Well, you would need another computer to take its place to run your function, right? Well, all these kind of management or administrative overheads to run some function, some calculation, well, that's what Lambda is over here. It's just a function as a service. So we have the same thing in Azure. All cloud providers have this kind of service where you write a function and you just upload it to the cloud provider, and they will execute that function in their environment at scale. So if you need that function to be executed 1,000 times per second, you have nothing to architect. It'll happen behind the scenes. Okay. So all these kind of services here, whether they're virtual machines, databases, function as a service, DNS, containers like Docker, Kubernetes that we start seeing here more on the right-hand side. And this is all supported with hundreds of more services. Really, it's immense, right? This cloud. And so part of your job will be to make sense or relate what do we have on-prem in our data centers, what's the equivalent in the cloud, right? And that you're obviously going to learn in this course, and how to then stitch them together and maybe even connect in a hybrid architecture your data center on-prem with your network and resources in your cloud together. Rasha, are you there?
Thank you so much, Andy, for
Yep.
taking us through tools and platforms we cover in this Cloud Computing Bootcamp. And I see a lot of questions coming in the Q&A box. I have actually added a few questions for you from the YouTube live box as well. Andy, maybe you can look at it and we can answer that when we get time. I've just sent it to you on chat. Also, the capstone projects here. I think we do have a question related to that. I think I just shared that on the chat. So we're getting this question from Saurav here from YouTube. How important is hands-on experience or practical projects when entering the cloud computing industry, Andy? As we're talking about the capstone projects.
Yeah, well, it's primordial. It's super important. I mean, lots of job applications, they want hands-on experience, right? It's very common to see that. They want, X amount of years of hands-on experience. They don't want you just show up there with you having some certificate, answering some, multiple choice exam, right? Of course, that does take some knowledge and skill, of course, but they're going to want some hands-on experience. So this course here, every time you come into a live classroom, you're going to be experiencing that. You're going to be putting that knowledge into practice with labs. And then after the course, you'll have a project. And then after the entire course, right? So let me just kind of break that apart. Every time, let's say we join for 4 hours a day, let's say, you'll have a small project to do for that session. You might even have a lab while we're doing the 4-hour course. Let's say one course is a collection of 10 sessions, right? So 40 hours. You'll also have to do an end of course project, right? So already there's a lot of experience putting that into place. Then after all the courses, you have the massive capstone projects. So you can actually take those capstone projects and put them on your CV, right? And showcase that as your experience, because, you know, saying that you've put together a multi-cloud solution on your CV speaks volumes.
Thank you so much for answering that, Andy. I hope that answers your question. So please do let us know if you have any follow-up question for us. I think we're getting a lot more questions, but I think let's move on to the industry-based hands-on project, which you get to add on your portfolio as well. You get to work on deploy a multi-timer web app using Amazon SQS, deployment of a multi-cloud app, Azure and AWS connection architecture through VPC in this program. So we have global leaders as program advisors, Rick Hefner, who's the basically program advisor here. And also let me take you through the learning environment of the UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp. So I think I will have to stop sharing my screen and also quickly take you through the live learning environment. So Andy, you can share your screen here.
Yeah, no problem. So what I'm going to do, everyone, is I'm going to share my screen with you. I would like if you could just confirm with me, Rasha, that you can see my screen right now. It's my web browser. It says UT Dallas Cloud Computing Bootcamp. Do you see that?
Yeah, it is visible, Andy.
Okay, awesome. Also, is it big enough? Can everybody read that, or do I need to increase my magnification here?
I think you will have to increase a little bit. Even for
Okay.
me, it's a little small. Just that. Yeah, we are getting
Okay,
a few
120
messages.
is good?
Yeah, I think this should be good.
Okay. So this is basically the learning management system, also known as LMS for Simplilearn. Once you get your own username and passwords, once you've signed up for the course, you end up on this page, okay? Now you'll see here, remember that slide we saw with the steps, right? Excuse me. This is basically every step here, right? Minus that 1 or 2 hours that, you know, shows you the LMS. That's going to be done with somebody else. Okay. So let's say we show up together here with the AWS Cloud Fundamentals. We do this for, let's say, 4 half days, and then we get into the designing applications and architecture in AWS. This is about 10 half days, a 40-hour course, et cetera, all the way down until we go to the capstone projects over here. Okay. So let's just take a look here at this one. So this is where you would be spending kind of many weeks on this course over here. You have a section self-learning, okay, where this is pre-recorded videos, okay, where you can actually go here on the right-hand side and pick the topics that you'll eventually be covering in a live class, okay? So what I like to do is when we get together is I'll let you know in advance. Hey, next week we're talking about, we're talking about VPC networks, virtual private clouds. That's what a VPC is. I want you to read up on lesson 5 as much as you can. And you kind of go here and you start reading up on all this stuff and watching these videos. And then you show up here, let's say, whatever time and place we have to meet. You go to live classes, and then you won't see it here because there's none right now, but you'll see basically like a table with the dates and some links that you click on, just like if you were accessing a Zoom meeting, right? And so you can actually open up this Zoom link, and I would be there waiting for you, and then we kind of go through the class, okay? We do the labs, we do all that kind of stuff. Then after that, you have some assessments. And the assessments are basically once you finish the whole course, right? Let's say this course in particular, designing applications and architectures in AWS. So the second step, you're going to have to do one of two things. You've got these 2 exams here. Okay. So you got to answer 50 questions. You got to get 70%. Now, if you don't get it the first time, you got 3 opportunities. You even got, you can pick either one here. There's just 1 of 2 exams that you have to pass. Then after that, you have to do, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 end of course projects. So you get to pick one, right? So let's say you pick the second one here, and this one is going to teach you, or you, by this time, you already know how to do it, right? I've showed you how to do this. So you kind of put it into practice and you say, I'm going to build myself a database in the cloud of type MySQL, and I want to connect that to a virtual machine running a web server, an Apache web server. And so you need to secure that. You need to make sure it's publicly accessible, all that kind of stuff, right? And so then you submit your project with this button over here, and there's going to be somebody that's going to grade that. So in order to kind of pass this course, right, you'll have, in the certificate section here, it tells you to unlock your certificate, you have to get, you have to sit at least 80% of the live classes, right? These self-learning ones, that's not such a big deal, right? I mean, that's for you to prep for the class. That's stuff that's kind of pre-recorded. But you got to sit the live classes. That's where the value is added. You could ask questions at any time here, right? Once you finished 80%, you finish one of these, 2 exams that I said, you got to get 70%, and you got to complete one of these 5 projects, right? For example, the database connecting to the web server. Once you've got that done, then you get the certificate for this one particular class. Okay. And this is the same thing over and over and over again as you're going from the bottom of the ladder all the way to the top. Now you're going to need a lab environment to practice, right? Like what if you want to practice on the side, not just doing these projects, but you just want to tinker around, right? You want to do the labs, you want to do some projects, all that kind of stuff. That's where the practice labs are. Okay. So practice labs, they give you a working environment. You can see here, launch lab. It's going to give you credentials to actually, in this particular case, to log into what we call the AWS console. If this was an Azure class, it'd be the same thing, but you'd be logging into the Azure portal. Okay. So they give you a link here. All right. Let me just kind of open up a private window. All right. Paste that in here. And then they'll have basically a section, of course, to put your username and password. Let me just move this aside for 2 seconds. Copy this just for the screen. Paste, and then I got this guy here. Okay, let me bring it back. Sorry, I just couldn't see 2 things at the same time. And I would sign it. Right, and now you have access, right? Comes with the class. You're not going to get charged anything. Don't worry, right? You're going to get access now to the AWS console. And now you can do all these labs and things like that, right? So you can go take a look at all the services that are available in AWS. Let me make this bigger. For whatever reason, my browser thought it'd be funny to go back down to 80%, right? So if you want to work at databases, right, let me create a RDS database that allows me to create a MySQL database. So RDS just stands for Relational Database Service, right? So I go through all of this with you. And of course, I don't have permissions right now to do this because I haven't officially been registered for the class, right? So, but you would go in here and you would create these databases and whatever else is asked of you for, the lab or the project and things like that. And that's all part of the class. Okay. So you can create these environments over and over again. So right now they're good for about 3.5 hours. Once they run out, you just start another one. Okay. So this is all in lab environment over here. Let me go back down here. I got knocked out. Now that was for the designing applications and architecture in AWS. Now this will be the same thing, copy paste kind of thing, all the way down until you hit the capstone. So the capstone, that's when you're kind of just about ready to graduate. And you got to really now spend some time completing one of these 3 capstone projects over here. So you might need to, deployment of multi-cloud apps. So they're kind of telling you here, they want you to set up 2 load balancers in each respective cloud provider, and then kind of connect them together, I imagine, for some disaster recovery scenario. Okay. So again, this is something you can put on your CV to showcase the knowledge that you've attained. All right. We also have a community, right? So we have community forums over here. You can set up your notes. You can ask for technical support if ever there is a glitch. I myself, personally speaking, 5-star. I give these guys 5 stars for technical support every time I have an issue. Let's say I had a lab issue last time where I couldn't log in for whatever reason. It took like half an hour and they fixed it for me. So they're really good with that. Okay. So this is your LMS system, and you're going to be here quite often. The other nice thing is every live session that we go through together is recorded. Okay, so you have access to that. You might have missed a class, you could have missed an hour, something like that, or you just want to go back and see, what I was teaching in regards to, containers, ECS in Azure, in AWS. So you kind of go back to that section and refresh your memory. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have to say here for cloud computing. I have to find, just a second here, my stop share. Maybe Reza, if you can, stop my share for me, but if not, I have to find my window.
Sure, sure. Let me
uh,
share back my screen, no worries.
I found it. Yeah, I found it.
Yeah, sure. Uh, while you were speaking also, Andy, we did get a question about the learning environment. As you can see by Malcolm on the chat here, will we be getting materials, books, and PDF files?
Yeah, so all the slides that I showcase, all the materials that I showcase in the course while we're doing the live sessions are available to you. And there's some also lab files, the PDFs for the steps, all that kind of stuff is available in the LMS. There's a little like arrow where you kind of download that. Now, that kind of stuff, I mean, I didn't go into the nitty gritty details of everything because you have a 2-hour seminar, right? On the LMS system. That's the first step of that ladder, and they'll show, how you access the live training, how you access the recorded material, how you download the materials, all that kind of stuff.
Thank you so much, Andy, for answering that. I hope, Malcolm, that answers your question. Also, please do let us know if you have any follow-up questions for us. So we just went through the learning environment of Utility Cloud Computing Bootcamp. Moving on, we have global leaders as program advisors. We have Professor Dinesh Bhatia, who basically is the department head at the University of Texas at Dallas. We have Professor Benjamin, who basically is the associate professor at University of Texas, Dallas. And basically, we have one more global advisor as well. Basically, they all come with a huge amount of experience, and they make sure that Simplilearn is delivering as per UT standards. And job assist services, we have partnerships with Talent Inc. here, where we have partnered up with them in order to give you access to the premium resume rabbit job portal service with a wide employer network and also a resume review and rewrite service as well. Also, you get access to one-on-one interview service as well through Talent Inc. here. So I think we have a few more questions on the program here, but I think we'll just answer one on the Q&A box. I think we'll take it up. It's pretty relevant. I'll just ping you that, Andy, in the chat here because might be difficult to
Sure, Rasha, I'm
navigate
just
it.
going to say there's a lot of, I mean, I didn't read them all. I read at least half though. I think the first 3 questions, in terms of job placement, experience, who's hiring, all this kind of stuff, that's more on the slide that you're talking about. There is a assistance service
Yep.
by Simplilearn to help you with this, right? Nobody can guarantee anything, but you have support in finding a job, whether you have 0 experience or 10 years of experience. There is a support arm there, so to speak, from the Simplilearn program, which is something usually you don't see in other programs. Now, is this course accessible in Africa? That's a question that I actually don't know the answer to. Maybe Rashid, would you know the question to that?
What I can do is I can share the link towards the program in case you can check it out for your own region as well. This currently is accessible only to US candidates. But if you want to check it out still, I can share the link towards the program in few minutes. Meanwhile, do you want to see more questions as well?
Yeah, the like okay, so I think the first four questions on the Q&A, like I said, the first three that has to do with the job assistance service. Okay.
Mhm, mhm,
Then there's one in regards to okay, what is the UT involvement? That that's something more maybe in the background. I'm not too sure what the UT involvement is.
mhm,
What makes this DevOps program different from the others offered by Simplilearn? Well, I mean, just from my point of view, I would say it's part of a larger curriculum. So you'll get more exposure to those services in other lenses. What I mean by that is you'll see them from a developer's point of view. You'll see them from an architectural point of view. You'll see them from a cloud operations or sysadmin point of view. So by getting all those kind of different lenses, you're going to be a better DevOps developer than just getting a very focused DevOps training, which you're going to get anyways in that class. So it's more the sum of the parts are greater than the whole here. And the other thing is you'll probably have me, and that's a good thing. I teach it in this curriculum, not in the one that's all by itself. Um, Last question I see here in the question answers is all the content available via written material for those whom videos are not the ideal learning platform. Yeah, so I might have answered that in passing before because we had the question here in the chat window. Is yes, you have all the materials are available in PDFs there. Of course, you don't get access to the actual MP3 files or anything like that. The videos stay on the platform, but the PDFs are all from the slides. Hundreds of slides are all downloadable to your computer. Okay. And yeah, I think that's basically. So the other question here I have, Rasha, I'm looking at the chat window now.
mhm.
Okay, so I have here, does one have to start from the cloud foundations? I think if you sign up for this course, I mean, you have to start from the bottom to the top. You can't join in from on step number 3. Am I right there, Rasha?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so that's Kihindi, that's your question. And the other one is Kihindi again, how long is the cloud computing bootcamp? I think, what did you say before, one of the slides before? The whole thing was how many weeks?
We can just go back to it.
Yeah,
I'll
it
just
was
show
actually
it
written
for
on one of those
folks.
slides.
Yeah, it's 8 months,
8 months,
and
there to go.
yeah, and you can just complete it by giving approximately 10 to 15 hours per week for the CDTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp. I hope that answers your question. I think we have taken plenty of questions here from the Q&A box in the chat as well. We do have few more. We are basically running a little bit our time as well. We just have few minutes left. So we have talked about the skills here. We have talked about the career paths which be in demand in 2024. We have also talked about the projects you can work on through this program. We have talked about the learning environment, what exactly happens in the Simplilearn's learning environment of this UT Cloud Computing Bootcamp. So we would love to know, are you interested in enrolling in the UT Cloud Computing Bootcamp? You can see a quick poll launched on your screen here, which says, would you like to enroll into the program? You can share your interest towards enrollment into the program here. And also for folks who are sharing interest, I'll be taking you through the enrollment steps of the program and also the upcoming cohort and the program fee as well. Meanwhile, if you have any questions about the program, you can let us know. I think someone has asked about the cost of the program. I will be sharing that in the upcoming slide. And also the upcoming cohorts as well, which you can take up. And also we would love to know when exactly do you plan to enroll during the next year. So we have those options as well. Meanwhile, as I was speaking, I see a lot of interest towards the enrollment. So that's great, that's positive. Meanwhile, folks who are sharing interest towards enrollment, if you have any questions about the program in general or career in general in cloud computing, please do let us know. We do have a few minutes left where we can address your queries as well. I think I'll just give 10 seconds more for the poll here as folks are sharing the responses for the poll here. And also, I think for someone who basically has joined from Africa region, I have shared the link of the program for you. Not able to make out the name from the email ID. I'm so sorry. So You can check out basically the program details for your own region in case you want to check out you're joining from a different country apart from the US. When do the classes start? I'll be sharing that, but the classes start from Feb 2024. That is the upcoming code that will be around approximately that month of next year. But the induction will be pretty early for that. I think last 5 seconds for the poll here. So are you interested in enrolling into UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp here? You can let us know through this poll. There are two quick options in this poll here, yes or no. You can share your interest towards enrollment by clicking on yes. I think someone has asked for the link here. Let me do one thing. Let me share the link towards the program on the chat here as well for you folks. Last 5 seconds for the poll here, folks. The poll is still moving. So I'll give last 5 seconds for the poll. Meanwhile, I'm sharing the link towards the program here in the chat. So you can check it out. The UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp link towards the program for your own region here. And maybe the program fee and the upcoming cohorts might vary for the program. So you can check out that for your own region. So I think last 5 seconds for the poll here. So for the folks who are still thinking about it, you can share your response here. And also basically Simplilearn's learning consultant will be taking you through much more detailed walk through the program as well, if you basically share your interest towards enrollment through this poll. So last 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing your interest towards enrollment. Now let me quickly take you through the enrollment steps here. So there are 3 simple, easy steps you will have to follow once Simplilearn's learning consultants will be reaching out to you with the admissions offer. So they will be basically taking you out through these 3 simple, easy steps. You need to submit an application at askus@simplilearn.net. And then UTLS will be reviewing your qualifications based on the eligibility and the prerequisites I've shared with you earlier. And based on that, you'll be getting admission from learning consultants from Simplilearn will be contacting you with the admissions offer letter. So that is the process. They'll be taking basically you in much more detail. Now, talking about the upcoming program schedule and also the fee here. So the next upcoming cohort will be starting around Feb, and induction might start much earlier next year, 2024. Then the program fee for this program is $8,000 USD including taxes. And we also have financing options available for as low as $704 per month. In case you have any queries, you can always reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. I'll share that email ID on the chat. In case you have any questions, you can reach out to us there immediately. I'm just sharing that email ID for folks who have any more questions and are not answered. And also just to let you know that we have very limited seats per cohort. We only take 25 to 30 folks per cohort in order to make sure that you're getting all the attention that is required when you're taking up this program. Now, for folks who have already shared with us the interest towards enrollment, we would love to know how soon do you plan to enroll? So now through this poll, which I've launched right now, you can see on your screen, this will give us an understanding when exactly do you plan to enroll and which cohort will be the most suitable for you for next year. So as you plan. So there are multiple cohorts that happen throughout the year. So this poll definitely is for the folks, which is a lot of you have shared interest towards enrollment into UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp. Also, someone has asked, yes, we do have a certificate for the webinar. Basically, you will get it basically once we end this webinar. That is basically in few minutes, I think 5 to 7 minutes max. We'll take any pending questions if we have time. And once the webinar ends, you will get a Zoom webinar pop-up of post-webinar survey where you can basically enter your full name there. And also you can share with us any feedback you have to make our webinars better. So I see that most of the folks have shared response for this poll, but I think last 5 seconds for folks who basically have already shared interest towards enrollment. So how soon do you plan to enroll into the program? So you can see 4 quick options here immediately. In case you're planning to join the immediate upcoming cohort, which is in the next 2 to 3 months, and also within 3 months, within 6 months, and more than 6 months from now, for folks who are still thinking about it and yet not sure when basically are they planning to join. This definitely will give us understanding when to reach out to you with the admissions offer and the enrollment steps of the program. So last 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me quickly end the poll. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And let's see if you have any pending questions in the Q&A box or from our YouTube live chat box as well.
So
Okay, I
Rasha,
think
mostly what I see here is related to cost or subsidiary scholarship, things of that nature. Average salary of a cloud engineer in India. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head at all. That's something maybe you could email to that.
definitely.
But yeah, obviously that's going to depend per country, right?
Yeah.
In regards to the Malcolm here in Kenya, we were just saying that you emailed or not emailed, but you sent a link there for the learners in Africa.
I'll
So
just
I
share
think,
that once again.
yeah, I think that kind of.
Yeah, I think we have actually answered most of the questions throughout the session, and also we have whatever pending we had as well on the chat and also from the YouTube live chat box. So folks, we would love to know if you need any assistance in enrolling to the program. There's a quick poll you can see on your screen, which basically says yes and no. This is for folks who need extra help in case you're a working professional and you need some extra help. You don't have time to go and enroll and follow the steps by your own. So learning consultant from Simplilearn definitely will help you out with much more assistance in enrolling into the UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp. So you can select the option yes here in case you need assistance. If not, then you can select the option no here. This is for the folks who have already shared interest towards enrollment and also have let us know when do they plan to enroll. I think someone is asking, is it free to obtain the certificate? The webinar certificate is obviously free. The attendance, I think that is something you've asked. So I hope that answers your question. And I'll just keep this poll live for 5 seconds more. We are towards the end of the session here.
We also had a question here from Permith, scope of cloud computing field, last SA. I'm not too sure what last SA means there in that question, but the scope of computing the spectrum is enormous. There is no, there is no niche. It's not a niche technology. It can run any kind of workload in there. So whether like we're just talking about AI, machine learning, database, quantum computing, anything you can run on-prem, you can run in the cloud as well.
Thank you so much for answering that, Andy. I hope that answers your question. From it, from the chat, from the Q&A box. And I think we are towards the end of the session now. For folks who, if you have any more questions about the program, you can always reach out to us at askus@simplilearn.net. Please feel free to mail us there your queries there. We will basically addressing it there post session. And also for folks who have shared interest in enrollments, like we're looking forward to see you in the upcoming cohorts of UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp. And also for Andy, thank you for joining us and taking the time out for the program preview for the UTLS Cloud Computing Bootcamp. Would you like to say something to the folks here before we end the session?
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you all. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. And hopefully I'll see you as early as February in the AWS class. See you in the cloud.
Thank you so much. Thank you, folks. Thank you for being an amazing audience here. Please do let us know how did you like the session. You can let us know on the chat box here and also basically once the webinar and put in the post-webinar survey as well. Also for the webinar certificate, you can put down your full name there. I think someone asked about that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, folks. Have a good day.